What's up, everybody? Jed Johnson here from DieselCrew.com. I want to give you a rundown of the Juniata Strength Clinic that I went to last week. This is something I try to go to every year. I think I've only missed one since I started going in 2001. Excellent clinic. It's something that you should put on your radar, put it on your calendar right now. It's in June every single year. It's run by Coach Doug Smith, and he has a series of assistants that help him. The big one is Nikki DeSantis. She is awesome. She helps me out every single year. This year, she ended up printing the certificates that I handed out to the strength coaches who came and tried out my grip challenge. So what I want to do is I want to tell you about some of the biggest things that I took away from the clinic, and I've got some notes here. First thing I want to do, though, is give a little shout out to all of the coaches who took part in my hands-on grip strength. I did a little hold for time with the pinch block curl device. So we had Jason Rischel, Carmen Sturziolo, I'm not really sure, David Miller, Zach Howell, Kristen Donovan, Bree Wasser, Amy Best, Vanessa Smoley, Josh Chromiak, Grant Butler, Chris Newens, Keith Kraus, Cody Casper, Franco Alexander, Stephen Kurtz, Scott Everhart, Russell Edwards, and Michael Gannon. I don't know where every single one of those people is from. Strength coaches, personal trainers, facility directors, things like that. That's the walks of life that these people come from. They all took part in my hands-on, and I tried to keep it pretty fun. Kind of kept a pro wrestling type atmosphere going, and I think everybody enjoyed it. And once the dust settled, brother, Bree Wasser and Josh Chromiak were the winners for the women's and the men's categories. All right, so congratulations to everybody that took part in that. And like I said, I've got some notes here on some of the things. I went back and looked at the chicken scratch notes that I took throughout the entire seminar, and I picked out the high points. So basically the order here is the order by which I attended the speaking presentations. So first was Robert A. Panarello, and he talked about athletes with ACL reconstruction surgery or maybe just knee injury surgery that come back to training. And one of the things that he talked about, put a lot of emphasis on this, was how we compare the injured leg to the strength of the non-injured leg in order to decide whether or not they're ready to come back to sport. He says that's a problem. There needs to be more standards developed. The reason that's a problem is because most athletes go through a bout where they don't do any training. So you're comparing an operated leg with a non-operated leg that hasn't really done anything for a while, and that's an issue because that other leg, even though it's non-injured, is not 100%. So you're comparing an operated leg to a leg that's not 100%, and that's an issue. So he suggested more standards and gave some ideas on how to compare those legs. The other thing that he brought up, and this is very important because I've talked about this in the past in some of my products and some of the talks that I've given, but he actually stated that training the non-injured leg while the injured leg is incapacitated has been shown to carry over to the strength levels of the injured leg. So in other words, let's say you tear up your knee, you continue to work the leg that did not get injured, and it will carry over in strength to the other leg. So keep that in mind, especially, maybe you're not an athlete that plays basketball, soccer, football, or runs the risk of an ACL tear, but if you have an injury in one hand for a while, continue to train with the other hand, because if this evidence carries over with the hands, then you got a good chance that you'll maintain the strength in your injured hand while you are inactive. Okay. Next, Todd Hammer from Robert Morris University talked about variations on the big lifts. One of the things he said that stuck out with me was no athlete is 100% symmetrical. So there's always going to be something about any athlete that isn't quite even. Just thinking about the bench press, you know, you see people come down, sometimes one arm is tucked in, one arm flares out. Everybody has something like that, even you and me. So you want to consider that when you're selecting movements for those athletes. And a couple things that I liked that he brought up were a press out of a split. So basically you get into a split position and you work your press this way versus always standing with the feet even and pressing like this. I thought that was a cool idea, something that I'd like to work on. He also talked about the Zavickas press, which is where you would take a seated position, your feet are out at a V, and then you take a bar out of a rack and press from that position. So both of these are overhead or military press style movements done in a little bit different way for a little bit of variety. And I thought both of those sounded pretty cool. I want to implement those in my training and with my athletes. This is tea. I've been drinking herbal teas in order to, you know, get the health benefits from those. Next, I went to a talk by Mike Rankin and his assistant Anthony, and I didn't get his last name unfortunately. But they talked about the use of bands in training, and if you've watched my YouTube channel for long, or if you've checked out my Instagram, then you know I incorporate bands all the time, and I wanted to check it out because I love bands so much. I wanted to see if there's anything else that I'm not thinking of. And there was something that I'm not thinking of, and basically it's doing banded bench press. I think I've tried this in the past, but it's been a long time since I did it, and I learned a technique for applying the band. So basically, if the bands that you have are too much of a jump in difficulty level, like maybe your miniature bands are really easy and then the next size up is too hard for you to incorporate into the banded bench press or banded dumbbell bench press, then I learned about a way that you can wrap it around yourself differently in order to get make a little bit better progression from the lighter band to the harder band. Also, he had me demonstrate this, and I really liked it a lot, and I plan on using this with some of my younger athletes that have trouble with push-ups. And basically he took the purple jump stretch band, wrapped it, kind of folded it in half, wrapped it around the elbows, and it assisted with the push-up. So this is very similar to the device that Mark Bell sells, the same concept, the slingshot. I don't have a slingshot, but like I said, I demoed that exercise for him during the seminar, and I thought it felt really good. I think it's got a really good place for some of the athletes that I work with who have trouble with endurance style push-ups. Getting past like 5 or 6 reps is tough for them. I went to a seminar by Tanya Williams. She talked about the female athlete triad, and basically what that is 3 problem areas that they see, 3 issues with female athletes who go through intense bouts of training. Basically, it is bone density issues, so you see shin splints, stress fractures, things like that. Amenorrhea, or irregular periods or complete loss of periods, and that has to do with the body fat level, especially. And then energy availability, eating disorders, things like that. Problems with nutrition are common for these athletes. So she talked about how each of these variables relates to one another, how they can trigger problems in the other areas and things like that. And it was really cool because I attended her talk, I believe, several years ago, but it had been a while since I had heard the talk, and I wanted to go for a refresher, and I'm glad I did. And I think probably this video is going to be long enough, so I'm going to cut this off and I'll make another video just so it's not super long.